So the problem is your opening, right? No, it's not. No, it's not. Your real problem is that you don't follow the rules of the opening. What does that mean? So let me tell you. In general, you don't want, let's say, with the black pieces, when they attack you, let's say, for example, I don't know, bishop c4, you play knight c6, maybe, and queen f3, f6. Okay, so I've seen this type of stuff. I've seen this stuff with the black pieces a lot, maybe even against some, for example, against some, let's say, some d4 move, f6. I've seen that, and this is what you shouldn't do. You should never move. Keep it as a rule, guys. You should never move your f pawn in the opening. Never move your f pawn, and I would also suggest you not to move your g pawn either. I mean, maybe it's better if you just learn to play without fianchetto in the beginning if you're a beginner, and of course you can use this pawn if you want to, let's say, deflect your opponent's queen with this move. You can attack his queen, but only in this scenario you can move this pawn and maybe develop the bishop here. Otherwise, don't move these pawns with white or the black pieces. I made an example for the black pieces because usually people struggle with the black pieces when they're beginners. They struggle with black openings. So be aware that these pawns you shouldn't move because you're gonna castle here most likely, and this is gonna be 90% of your games is gonna be the safe square for your king, so you don't want to make it less safe because king safety is the most important thing in chess. So this is one thing you shouldn't do. The basic stuff in the opening is like, maybe I've said it before, you need to get the control of the center, you need to develop your pieces, and you also need to castle. Your opponent's moves shouldn't distract you from this goal. For example, knight f3, he's attacking your pawn. You need to defend the pawn with development. For example, defending like queen f6, that doesn't help you in any case. Moving your queen early in the game is just bad. Why? Because it becomes a target. For example, let's say that white develops normally, and after this d3, now bishop g5 could be a threat or something. So you see that after a few moves, if you get your queen out, it becomes a target. It's not really helping you to do anything. So I wouldn't recommend you moving your queen like this. You should, when your opponent is making threats in the opening, you should deal with the threats in a manner where you also do something from the things I mentioned earlier. So you need to develop pieces, or maybe, I don't know, try to get better control of the center, or make moves that are gonna make you castle faster. Alright, so this move I would not recommend, which is gonna make you castle faster. In this scenario it's not good, because you're limiting your bishop a lot. So bishop d6 is a move I would never play. I would go like knight c6, and then it would take me a few more moves to castle, but I would get my castle anyway. So now something similar, something else I want to explain is that after bishop c4, a lot of people don't know what to do here. So if you don't know the d5, which is the line, and then knight a5, and there are a few moves which you need to learn. So here, if you don't like this, you could try to play bishop e7, so that you prevent knight g5, and then if they castle, for example, you play knight f6, and now if they play knight g5, you can castle, because the bishop is out of the way. So the difference is that after bishop c4, knight f6, here you can't castle immediately, but if you get the bishop out first, I mean, this is a little bit passive. This bishop e7 move, I guess you can also get bishop c5, but this is a completely different line than knight f6. So yeah, you could also get bishop c5 and knight f6. Bishop c5 is the move I was playing, and I never had to deal with knight f6 and knight g5 variations, and I think it's really solid. So yeah, you can also try that, because a lot of people here, what they do, they lose to this line, and then they start playing stupid stuff like h6 or f6 because they're scared about this. And we said we don't want this, alright? So this is how you should deal with your opponent's threats, and Alright, of course with the pins, how you deal with the pins. Let's say that your opponent has a pin. Alright, and now I'm playing this, I'm gonna create it myself because we're just practicing, so I'm not playing the best moves, I'm just showing you some situation that you might get in. Here, when you get the pin, black has a few options. First option is to play a6, but I don't really like that, because when you get this pin with a6, the only thing you do, you just boost him to capture. Alright, I'm not telling you that this plan was good, but I just want to tell you something. When you play a6, you kinda waste time. I would do that only if I'm sure that he's gonna like go back or something. If I know he's gonna take, I'm not gonna push. Why? Because if he's gonna take, let's say for example knight f6 takes, now knight f6 is a more useful move than a6, if you agree with me. So because now knight f6 you would play anyway, but now a6 you don't really need to play. So that's why I prefer moves like this, because here it's harmless. The pin, he's not gonna do much. I mean, alright, yeah, he can take like this, he's ruining your pawn structure, but you can't always, like, you can't play passive like this, bishop d7. Maybe you can do it in a few situations, but it's gonna be really passive, especially if you do it from the other side too. I mean, you don't really have to, unless it's necessary. If there was a pawn on d4, maybe you would have to do it. Or maybe you would have to play a6 if there was a pawn on d4 threatening to play d5. But otherwise, you can also play, as I said, knight f6, and you don't need to worry about this pin. Don't worry about things that might not happen. So yeah, he might not take this knight ever, so don't worry about it. If he takes, you take back, it's alright. No problem with that. Okay, so something else that I wanna mention. Now I'm gonna get the white pieces for this. Alright, this is a legit line. This is the Ruy Lopez or the Spanish variation. If you want, you can look it up. So this, what I want to do, I want to castle fast, and I don't want you to stay like this. As I said, this is a legit line, but if you don't know what you're doing, you want to avoid leaving your king in the center for so long, because now there could be d4, rook e1, and I'm telling you, again, this is a legit line, but if you have no idea what you're doing, you're gonna lose very fast here. So I would like to get, if I would be a beginner again, I would like to get positions where I castle fast. I want to castle fast, guys. I don't want to stay with the king in the center for too long, capturing material like this. I don't want that. As a beginner, I would like to follow the basic rules, the following the rules that I said previously, like go for the center, develop your pieces, and castle. These three rules in the opening. Even if you don't know the exact moves in the opening, if you try to follow them, if you try to apply these rules, you're gonna get some moves on your own. What I mean by that, even if you don't know the opening moves, you're gonna find some moves which are not bad. Maybe they could be the best in some rare cases, but in general they're gonna be solid moves, not bad moves, not moves that blundering. So this is gonna help you a lot to get through your through the opening phase of your game anyway. So this is really important, because a lot of people think that they're blundering in the opening, but what really happens, they don't blunder in the opening. They just get distracted by the opponent's plan in the opening, and then they panicking. They completely forgot the rules of the opening, and you see them. What beginners do, they play, for example, even after the castle. Let's say, right, let's say that I'm playing some normal stuff. So even after the castle, beginners start to like, they forget to move the pieces. They're like, okay, I'm gonna play c3, d4, d5, e5, and they just leave everything here, which is not like the worst thing in the world, but they leave the pieces there for the rest of the game. So after you finish with castling and stuff, you need to develop everything else. As I said, c3 is fine, but at some moment you need to develop your pieces too. So knight c3 or something, I don't know, queen e2, bishop e3. Just do something with your pieces, don't leave everything there. The more pieces you have in the battle, the more chances you have to win the game. create some threats, your opponent is gonna blunder something, you win material, and then you're gonna win the game. Of course, now about winning the rest of the game, what you need to do, you need to know some solid tactics. In case your opponent blunders, you should need to know how to make a 2-move combination, for example, not something super hard. 2-move combination, maybe even 3-move combination sometimes. I know this might be slightly hard for a beginner, but that's why I started with 2-move. Of course, blunders, how you're gonna see the blunders, you need to practice for that. The closer a move is, the easier you see it. What I mean by that, for example, if he blunders the piece, alright, I think it's White's turn. So let's say if he blunders the piece in front of you, you're gonna see that you can take it. But let's say that he blunders the piece somewhere far, like this. He blunders a pawn, alright? So now this is something that a lot of people don't see because it's too far away. How do you get better in that? Practice. Unfortunately, there's nothing else you can do. And when I mean practice, I mean like puzzles, tactics, stuff like that. You need to see the easy puzzles, of course, not the tough ones. You need to solve a few of those where you just take hanging pieces and stuff. This way you're gonna see them. You're gonna see the hanging pieces more often in your games. And I've realized that if it's further away, people have more trouble trying to find the hanging piece and take it. So yeah, you need to practice with those. First of all, okay, you might have to practice with the closer ones, because I've seen people playing moves like b5 and the opponent not capturing it. So maybe you need to practice on these ones too if you think you don't see these blunders. But if you're good at those, then you need to see the longer ones, and then maybe the even longer than these blunders, for example, from one end to another. If there's an open file, open diagonal or something, maybe you can take something. So yeah, this is basically what happens in the middle game, and I think that's how most games end. Most games end at this level, beginner games end at this level. And now about the end game, I wanna say something. End game is really important. Why? Because let's say you make a combination in the middle game, you get a tactic or something, you wrap, I don't know, one piece, two pieces, one rook, or I honestly don't know, you wrap so much, maybe a queen even, and then you need to give a checkmate. So first of all, you need to learn the checkmate with the queen, of course checkmate with two rooks, also checkmate with rook. You need to learn these simple checkmates, which I've already made videos about, and this is really important to know, because you could stay, for example, let's say that in the endgame you have just a pawn on a7, alright? Nothing else. You're white, you have a pawn on a7, you promote it to a queen, and you just have a queen. So you need to do the checkmate with the queen, you need to know how to do that in order to win the game. And that's a basic thing. So endgames are equally important, maybe I could say even more important, because you could have done everything else perfectly, and if you don't know how to checkmate him with a queen or something, then you're screwed. Of course, this is a scenario that might occur rarely. Many cases you might have more material than the queen, queen and rook, or queen and knight, queen and bishop, rook and bishop or something. You might have more pieces, you might have more pawns, but this is easy. I'm not gonna say that. I'm gonna mention the toughest position, which is probably this one with the queen. I've seen a lot of people say stalemating that, the one with the rook, and yeah, it keeps going. So this is the reason why you don't win the end games, your games. It's not the opening. You don't need to learn exact lines in the opening. You just need to get a better feeling for what you need to do in the opening. So you need to play some solid opening. Do not blunder stuff when he's attacking your pawns, your pieces. I don't know. You need to keep them out of the attack. You need to bring them to safety. And yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. You don't need to know exact lines. Exact lines you need to know after you reach some level. This video is mainly for the most for the beginners, mainly for like these players below 1000, let's say. Of course, I'm gonna make other videos too for more advanced players. But yeah, if you find this useful, please give a like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps me a lot. Yeah, I'm gonna keep making more of this if you find them useful. Otherwise, I'm gonna do something else. You can type in the comments if that helps. So yeah, thank you very much, and see you in the next one.